Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cashflow through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you guys know, this is where we interview people that are just flat out crushing it in the business. And this is a super special episode because we've got a husband and wife team. And, we basically show you guys the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating massive success, not just in their businesses, but in their lives. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's the director of our massive action team for our Warrior Group, Mark Nagy, on the call. Mark, what's happening, brother?
Not much. I can't imagine, though, that anything's been as exciting here as you going through a hurricane recently last week.
Good. Listen, if you saw what we went through, it was kind of crazy. My house is really solid, and I stayed. Luckily, Tiffany was out of town. She's actually in Europe now, but I've got video of me opening a window and the wind blast being so hard that I jumped back a couple feet because it was that impactful. Wow. We had this giant tree that fell over on our street, so we couldn't go down our street. And on its side, this tree was like 40 feet high. I mean, it's just crazy. But luckily, we didn't get hurt. It was real sad south of us, though, man. I mean, really ugly. But anyway, let's get into the awesome guests we have today. We've got Warriors Rob and Tara Shedden. Now I think you guys joined in 2020. Is that right?
Yeah, March of 2020.
March of 2020.
Yeah.
And you've developed a portfolio of 24 units in 5 buildings since then, and you've basically got enough revenue from that to retire from you to retire from a Fortune 100 company, 6-figure salary there as construction project management. And then Tara, you were able to leave, OBGYN ultrasound technician positions, which is fantastic because I know you guys have 3 kids. So, right. You have the ability to work from home and have time freedom. But welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks. Great to be here. I'm glad we were join the Warrior program.
Yeah, for sure. So talk a little bit, I kind of summarized a little bit your background, but talk about why real estate. You guys both had pretty impressive careers. Give us a little background. Bring us from, when you started thinking about real estate and even maybe a little before then to current.
Well, I guess I can open with that one. So we had a family wedding down in Mexico Beach, Florida, another town of Florida that was devastated by hurricane. But we on the way down to the wedding, we had our 3 kids in our little SUV, and Tara wanted a brand new Toyota Sequoia, and I'm thinking there's no way we can afford a car payment. We can't. These kids are growing bigger every year, eating more food, their clothes are getting more expensive. So I realized I had to make a change. Working for my job at UPS and getting that 2% raise every year until I retired was no longer going to work for us. So we got into biggerpockets.com and decided to try to flip a house. Decided that was a little too risky, and we kind of settled on buy and hold, buying rentals. And so I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in it was July of 2018. And by December of 2018, we closed on our first 4-family property. And then from there, it's been about 40 months since we were able to buy these properties, renovate them, and then increase the rent. And 40 months to break free of the W-2.
Yeah, no, that's impressive. That's impressive. And I know from reading your bio, it looks like you bought 16 of those since you joined our program, which is awesome. And yeah. Were you involved with any other Warriors in that process?
Yes, we were. So right before we joined the Warrior program, Tara and I had a 6-unit property under contract. We were thrilled, and then the pandemic hit. So we freaked out. We let the property go, and we had amassed all this capital, and we came across Johnny Anton, one of your guys that was talking about the Warrior program, and he told us all the benefits, and we decided to take a chance. And I stopped living in fear. We dove in and joined the program with the help of 2 more Warriors. 6 months later, we got the same property back under contract for $50,000 cheaper.
Nice.
And we brought that full cycle in December of last year, so I can get into that later. But we had 2 Warriors invest in us, and they made a handsome return, and now we own that asset outright. So it was a great story.
It was 14 months.
Wow. 14 months.
We were able to return all of their capital,
and a 30% return.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, Toyota is the reason you guys got into real estate then, is what I'm hearing.
Basically, and now we talk about manifesting, Rod. There is a Toyota Sequoia parked in our driveway right now.
No kidding. Look at that.
Car. Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. If those of you listening, if you don't know, one of the first, how do you get anything if you don't know what it is? So one of the first things we do at our boot camps is get very clear on what it is you want and why you want it. And I don't know when this episode will air, but we've got a boot camp coming up literally next weekend, October 15th and 16th, a virtual one. And there's, if this airs before that, actually, I think it is airing Monday. So or Friday. So if you're, if you haven't booked that, get there. But, that's the first thing we do is goal setting. Because again, how do you get anything if you don't know what it is? So you got really clear, you told him what you wanted. And that's, it's our job to make that happen as men. And we made it happen. It sounds like you guys did it together. And I'd actually like to talk about that for a minute before we get too deep into the real estate. So, some people can't work together. I think Tiffy and I, we work together fairly well, but, we kind of have our own roles. But, some people, husband and wife, end up killing each other if they try to work together. So how do you guys make it work? Talk about how you actually make that dynamic work and still keep, and still have, the home life and the, the love and the, all that.
We have our own strengths and we each, make sure that we're working to our strengths. So one of my superpowers is my ADHD. And it allows me to just dive in and, research whatever it is that I'm interested in.
Laser focused.
Yeah, laser focused in. So, searching properties, that's one of the things I love to do.
Rent comps, you're fantastic at that.
Yeah. And then also, I originally went to school for interior design before I did my ultrasound career. And so just seeing the potential in, everything. Our original building we bought was, just the plain Jane 1990s, looks like every other apartment. And I saw potential in it because it had, attached car garage, in-unit laundry. It was a big space, 2-bed, 2-bath, vaulted ceilings upstairs. And I'm like, we could just put some, work into this and it would be beautiful. We could charge, so much more in rent and get great tenants in there. And the first couple of people that, we talked to about it said we were crazy. And that first apartment, they said, you won't get over 800. And I wanted to get 1,000. And we had over 100 applications for that first apartment for $1,000. And now
that's because you already got a $40,000, $50,000 Toyota. So you know what you want. You go out and you get it, right? Okay.
And so that she handles the tenant communications, interior design, that sort of thing. I handle the underwriting, the finances, work with contractors. She says, I want it to look like this, and I figure out the dollars and the cents and the labor to get there. And then we meet in the middle and we lease these things up for a lot of money. So it's
nice.
Fantastic.
Nice.
So, by the way, those same apartments are getting $1,350 now. So
nice.
Yeah.
Dang, only a few years later.
Right.
What advice do you think you guys would give to maybe that listener who isn't in your guys' shoes, right? Who maybe it's a husband or a wife and maybe their other spouse, they're not as interested in real estate, but they want them to be supportive. What advice would you give to that person to help their spouse maybe get supportive and get on the same page so that they could be successful?
Oh, good question.
So really just, I think, understanding what it's all about. If you understand it, then how can it not be exciting? I don't know. I left your boot camp, by the way, in Denver, just like ready to take on the world.
Yeah.
It's so exciting for me. And I know every female isn't excited about it. Every male isn't excited about it, but a lot of the questions we got at that boot camp was, how'd you get your wife excited? Well, I just was excited, but, really just understanding how it works, I think. So I think.
Yeah. And that could be done through explanation, right? That could be done through communication. I think the key there is communication. Would you agree with me, guys?
And not too much communication. If your spouse isn't on board, if you're talking about real estate when you wake up, at lunch, when you go to bed, they may get overwhelmed. They'll get overwhelmed. So it's important to pick a few topics to share. But really, I think you want to share what's the goal here? What are we trying to get? Can you share your why, your vision of what your life could be like with your spouse? If we can execute this multifamily plan, here's where we could be. How does that sound? Help me out. Let's do it together. I think that might be.
That's good. That's good feedback. So let me stay on this topic a little bit, at least to the dynamic between you guys.
Right.
And you've got 3 kids, young kids. Yeah. So how do you manage? Because you know how big a deal that is for me and my students. I talk about the greatest regret in my life, coming home to my kids and not being there mentally, being distracted. I'm sure you heard me talk about that before. And so how do you make sure that doesn't happen with your children? How do you manage your time and separate work from the more important thing, your kids?
I wouldn't say we always do accomplish that. We always try, but
right.
This morning we got a call and Rob had to meet somebody for a delivery at one of the apartments. So, boom, okay, I'm going to take on morning time routine versus, we normally split that. So splitting up, scheduling out our week, splitting up the times, who's picking up who's going to be there to get, that kid off the bus versus this kid. And then just, we make sure every night that we sit down as a family, no phones, and we eat dinner together. And really, we're lucky that now that the kids are back in school, it was hard during the pandemic, but that we're focused on them when they're here and we try and get our stuff done when they're, away at school.
I was going to add that, we've got about 6 hours during the day. Like right now, it's nice and quiet because they're all at 3 different schools. So trying to schedule the bulk of the calls and the bulk of the work in that 6-hour window allows me especially to be more present nights and weekends. Although our kids, they do go to the apartments. They have seen our tenants. They understand what we're doing. We're telling them what we're doing. So they know they have options and it's not just, I've got to go to school and get a good job and work my tail off till I retire. There are other ways to find happiness and make a living. And obviously we're excited to get them into real estate. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted on
No,
this.
you do that. You lead by example there. I mean, they see that, they see, that's awesome. That's great feedback.
Yeah. Well, let's connect the dots for the multifamily. Then obviously you guys have time freedom. You've both left your jobs. I know you guys have done smaller multifamily. I think you said 24 units now that you guys own. What were those benefits of doing those smaller multifamily deals, and how did that help you get to retirement quicker?
Well, the first 2 deals we did all all on our own, right? So all the sweat equity that goes into it, we benefit directly from all that. And that's then on our third deal, when we actually had investor money, because we had other folks' money, we were that much more on point and careful to make sure this is not our money. We want to make sure a handsome return for the investors, and also get them their capital back and a handsome return. So
that was really nerve-wracking for the first time to be responsible for other people's money. It's one thing when it's your own, but just making sure you're doing everything right, timely, so you don't screw anything up. So
and it makes you better. And then what we realize is really should run our own portfolio as if all of it is investors' money. Right. So I think doing those things and just realizing that, everything we put into these properties, we directly benefit. Where the W-2, I mean, I worked for UPS and they made $93 billion last year. My raise before I left was 2.5%. So
I worked at UPS too. I don't know if you heard that story. If you were in the room, loading trucks. And I lasted a couple weeks. I think I lost 12 pounds or something, and just about killed myself. I don't know how people do it. I know that's not what you did, but good God,
20 years is all I did it for. So.
Yeah.
But I got into management, so
he was managing projects and traveling a lot.
Sure.
The biggest, I think, motivator for us was having him home versus having him flying all over the U.S. and gone away from the kids.
Yeah, the fourth quarter of 2020, I was gone for 3 to 4 days a week, every week of the fourth quarter. And that's when all the birthdays are. That's when Christmas, Thanksgiving is. But I was building 2 new buildings in states, not where we live. And so that was, and that was a really dark time. And I dreamt about where I'm at today. So
no kidding. So you already started visualizing it. Well, good for you.
Yes.
Were there any like epiphanies on this journey of yours, where you're like, okay, now I get it moments as it relates to real estate or any piece of this?
Yes. Early on, I was listening to one of the many multifamily podcasts out there, and they talked about the cap rate and the NOI, and they talked about if you get an asset, how they're valued, if you decrease the expenses and increase the rent, you can just manufacture value. You could just create. And when I played that back again. I'm like, are you, just something clicked. I was like, oh, I'm getting chills talking about it now, but this is where I need to be, because it is just, it makes so much sense to get into multifamily, because you run it something more efficiently, you offer some more services, you increase that NOI. If the little business is making more money, it's just worth more, and you can either sell it or refinance and pull that out and do it again. So that was my moment.
Yeah, let me give you a dramatic example of that, just to hammer that home. I give you several actually, but the one that comes to mind right now, maybe if you haven't heard me, we've got an asset in San Antonio where we numbered the parking places, and we asked the residents if they want your own parking place. It's $25 a month. We'll reserve it for you. It's yours. It'd be the closest to your unit. And we had, I believe, over 100 people take us up on it. That was an $800,000 instant increase in value, 800 grand for some freaking numbers on parking spaces. So that's why we love this business, guys. So anyway, I mean, any increase to that NOI is an exponential increase to value. It's like a 17 to 20 to 1. So $1 increase in net income, $17 to $20 increase in value.
Yeah.
So has that been your guys' strategy then? I know you said you raised a little bit of money, which we can get into, but was your strategy just find smaller properties to then bump rents, then pull the money out, then roll over to the next one, roll to the next one? Is that how you've done this in the past 40 months?
So I'll go for this one.
Or was it different?
I don't think they've sold. I don't, have you, or
no, we haven't.
Or we've done 2 refinances.
Oh, okay.
Right. You refinance, you pull money out. Be a burr. Yeah, kind of burr method thing.
Right.
Buy, renovate, refinance, repeat. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's
something like that. Yeah. So you guys basically just did that method with smaller multifamily then, is that right?
Yeah. So, and initially, like, gosh, I've been bugging him since like the early years of HGTV to like flip a house. So, I wanted to put that creative, design to work. And so, the first building we bought, we just thought, oh, we can get higher rents for it. But then again, when we went and saw it, it's like, no, we can do a little bit of work and get much higher rents for it.
We just said, well, let's try it. Like, either you win or you learn, right? We tried it. And when we did listen, we listed it for $1,000, and we realized we had, several, tons of people wanted it. We realized our rent is still too low.
Right.
So the next one listed a little bit more. So
yeah.
And I'll give a huge learning experience too. So that first unit, Rob's super handy, and we're like, well, we can do this. We can renovate it ourselves. Well, he was still working 60 hours a week. And so by the time he finished renovating it, it took 3 months to renovate. And that was him, working all day,
nights and
coming home, spending a little bit of time just for dinner. And then he was working till like 3 a.m. And then getting up and doing it
quietly because there were tenants in the building.
And so we realized by the time we spent 3 months of losing, him in our household, like
and rent, I may throw, so
so we were losing rent, and that rent could pay for a contractor. And we learned that first unit that higher contract.
So and then the second one we had a contractor, took them 1 month instead of 3. The cost was the same, but I got 3 months of nights and weekends back. So
and we had a husband and a father back.
That's a little important. So what words of wisdom would you share with aspiring commercial multifamily real estate investors? They're sitting on the sidelines like you guys were before the Toyota incident. And, what might you say to the tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of people that will hear this that haven't taken action yet?
I would say learn as much as you can, right? Figure out how you want to proceed, learn as much as you can. But at some point you've got to take action. You've got to, take the deep swallow, sign on the deadline. You've got to put offers on property. You've got to take action to put one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, and get towards your goals. Because I do know some folks that have been looking, but have not been able to pull the trigger on anything. And it's not going to go perfect. You're going to learn a ton. It's going to be harder your first time, but the next time, it gets easier. And then you'll start to accumulate, war stories and successes. But you got to get started one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I would say, go to Rod Khleif's boot camp.
Thank you.
I mean, hands down. Again, I was excited about real estate before, but just going out of there, I I just felt like a warrior. Like I felt like I had all the tools behind me. I had, my whole like team of soldiers behind me, because that's the best thing about the warrior group is everybody is willing to share so much. And
she discovered her superpower, which is networking. I mean, she's meeting, Rod's over here, Garrison's over here. I couldn't even, I was just following her around at the end of the boot camp, just meeting people, because that was your superpower. So
well,
that's
by
awesome.
the way, I had a lovely 30 to 45-minute conversation with your beautiful wife and connected with her.
She's more beautiful on the inside than the outside, isn't she?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. She's in Paris right now, actually, with a girlfriend. Yeah, they're having a ball. I'm seeing the posts online, but they're having a ball.
So I'm curious, you guys already were taking action right before this. Why did you guys decide to become warriors and do this thing?
Oh, good question.
We decided because I realized, I was living my life in fear. I worked for the same company for 17 years, and I had that job in college. I never even interviewed. I was too scared. Wow. What if I get another job, I don't like it? What if they fire me? What if it's not enough money? What if healthcare, all these things. And I didn't even know it at the time, but I was too scared to take a chance and do something else. And I think when we joined the program, I thought, enough is enough. We got to do something differently. Right. And I thought, I just felt now was the time. And so we jumped in with both feet, and it's been great.
Yeah.
And I would just add that the connection that you have to people who have raised capital, who have access to capital, who, again, just that team effort versus, just being Rob and Tara. We bought our first two, and we can grow this fast, but when you're in a team as big as the Warriors, you can grow exponentially.
Any rate you want. In fact, that's going to be a question in a minute, but let me just say this, guys, if you're listening and I have to say this, incredible opportunity is coming. We could be heading into the greatest transfer of wealth we see in our lifetimes. I'm actually doing a Facebook Live this weekend about just the headlines about layoffs and job cuts and sales have dropped through the floor, new home sales, used car sales. And so there's going to be opportunities coming, but you got to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Now, if you want to inquire into our Warrior program to apply, you text the word CRUSH, CRUSH, to 72345, and we will help you freaking crush it in this business like we did with the Sheddens here. So again, text CRUSH to 72345 to apply. And basically, you look us over, we look you over. And even if it's not a fit, either way, you'll leave that call better than when you came on. But let me ask you this. What's next for you guys? You've done the small stuff. Are you thinking maybe you'll syndicate, do some larger stuff, get some scale going? What are your thoughts?
We're kind of moving in two directions. I'll let Tara's kind of taking one aspect. I'm kind of taking the other. So why don't you open with?
Yeah. So again, sometimes you need to hear things from somebody else, and this is where that marriage teamwork. So I've been trying to get into furnished rentals for a long time. We have 4 large healthcare systems here. And, I know there's so many traveling doctors, locum docs, traveling nurses, traveling sonographers, et cetera. And I wanted to really do a furnished rental. So at the boot camp, we were able to meet somebody on the team who has been doing that and is crushing it in midterm rentals. And so we finally got Rob on board. And we are going to try out 3 of our rental properties as midterm rentals.
Nice.
So I've just been, furnishing 3 whole apartments is a whole new work that I've never.
Oh, to pretend you don't like it, you're having fun.
I do. I love the designing, the shopping,
right.
All of that. But it's a lot more work than I thought it would be. So that's one aspect that we're going to start doing. And Rob?
And the idea is, so with the midterm rentals, the rent is so much higher. Obviously, the NOI, which is so important, goes up. We're looking that will hopefully a year down the road allow us to take more money out and put that in real estate. So I'm working with 2 new partners, and we are laser focused on looking at deals in Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. So 8 to 99 doors, C-class.
So you're all over. You're going to syndicate. Good. All right. So you got both things happening. Well, I love it. Yeah, I love it. That's awesome.
I wanted to know on those furnished rentals, just roughly, because I like the numbers. I get excited. I know a lot of people do. What sorts of percentage increase do you guys think that you'll get if you get what you think from going from regular to a furnished rental?
Well, keep in mind, there's going to be some vacancy in there too. So, the rental amount will obviously be significantly higher, but you've got to offset it with the fact it's not an annual rental. But yeah, I'd love to hear your answer.
66%.
66%.
We're getting 1,500 for our 3 bedrooms. We're going to try to get 2,500 for those same furnished.
And what is the length of time you're going to do them for minimum?
Minimum, I would do a month.
Yeah.
A month. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's what gets me excited, right?
And is it, I mean, just a couple of quick questions. So you'll use all the platforms like Airbnb and whatever the other ones are. I don't even know them off the top of my head. Is that the marketing plan?
So I haven't gotten into Airbnb yet because I still want to have control of who is getting in there. So I'm just going to put them through our normal platforms, that we list our apartments on. That way I can still really vet who's going to be in those units.
So what will happen, because the rent is so high and they're furnished, the tenants really self-select. So no one is going to live in their hometown and choose to go to a midterm rental fully furnished across town. They've got all their stuff. They're not. So we're looking for people that new to Rockford. Where am I going to live? Man, a short-term rental would be perfect for these type of folks. They're usually on a housing stipend or some type of increased rate for their travel. So we're hoping that the high rent and the furnished nature of these units will help the tenants self-select, and we'll get some really good, high-quality folks. And those healthcare individuals, they're almost pre-screened, right? Because you got to have a clean background to be working in healthcare. So we're really looking forward to it.
No, those will be great tenants, no question. And of course, they'll be subsidized. In many cases, they'll be paid for by whoever's training them and so on and so forth. So that's great. Well, listen, guys, it has been a real treat to see you again, and you've added some real value here today, and hopefully inspired people that are in relationships to consider, the setup that you guys came up with, and look at you both retired from super high paying jobs, and that's fantastic. So I really appreciate you coming on. It's great to see you. Are you coming to the Warrior event we're having in Sarasota? Are you going to be there?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We're extending it out for a little bit of Disney trip with the family.
Bring it all.
Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect.
There you go.
Yeah, so those of you listening, we do, events just for our Warriors where we do deep dives on underwriting and area analysis and more than anything else, networking, because we found that, out of the 90,000, upwards of 90,000 plus doors our Warriors own, most of those were done between Warriors. And so we do everything we can to facilitate connections. And that's one of those things is a Warrior event. But well, wonderful. Then I'll see you at the end of this month. All right, guys, you take care. It's great to see you.
Awesome.
Appreciate you coming on.
Take care.
Awesome.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text the word crush to 72345, and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. Again, to apply, text crush to 72345.